All right, welcome in. Welcome back to the BFR Podcast presented by Sports Mockery. My name is Dave, cover the Bears for SM, joined by my good friend, co-host, Chicago Bears content creator, Ficky. And we're in the bye week, boys. Bye week, Bears are 4-2. This graphic on here is kind of messing with me because Bears stay hot, 4-2, and then it's that last part, third in the NFC North. That gets me every time. They are hot. I think they're one of the more dangerous teams, of course. Heading into the bye week, we are going to kind of do like a Q&A episode. We have plenty of other topics that we might get to, but first we want to kind of get your guys' questions. We have about 25, 26 right now on deck, so we're going to try and answer all of these throughout this episode. But before we do, Ficky, how are you feeling after week 6? Obviously a very, high energy, lots of highlights. Caleb Williams' best game of his rookie season. How are you feeling after the aftermath of all that? I know we had our instant reaction pod on Sunday, but how are you feeling right now?
I mean, the same. Like it feels great. Like your quarterback looks good. National media agrees. Not that means everything, but it's kind of nice where Caleb passes the eye test, right? For fans, which we're typically biased, but it looks good to us. And then other analysts also kind of tune in and like, oh yeah, that looks good. And then statistically, whether you're looking at PFF or next gen stats, there's things that also back that as well. So like the header kind of says here, Bears do stay hot. Like the defense has looked good since week 1. They look good still now. And the offense seems like it's starting to catch up. It might be time, depending on after this bye week, how they play against Washington. I might have to start to draft together a Shane Waldron apology letter. You know what I mean? Because it seems like they've started to figure some things out. And a big piece of that, I think, which has helped, even though they've kind of started slow, is that they now have scripted 15 in the beginning to kind of get a rhythm and kind of, understand what's going on, which is kind of interesting that they didn't have that before, because that's like typical. They had like plays, obviously, that they were going to go to, but like not having a full scripted 15 was definitely a unique approach. But just like most seasons, it takes a little bit for these teams, not just the Bears, but other teams around the league, to kind of figure out who they are, what works, what doesn't, you know what I mean? And yet it's still early, right? Still early, but I think the Bears are starting to figure out some of those things.
Yeah, I thought it was I forgot what player said this. I don't know if it was Keenan or maybe Mercedes Lewis talking about he's never had an OC actually not have a script. And so it is definitely it was an interesting decision by Shane. And at the same time, he has been on fire. Like one of my favorite play calls from last game that, after watching the film going back, was obviously the Cole Kmet touchdown, because sure, the finish, Cole Kmet, the last 12, 10 to 12 yards was all him, obviously running over the defender and getting into the end zone. But it was the motion pre-snap, right? You think it's going to Keenan. Obviously, he doesn't. He pump fakes, goes to Swift, I think, on the right side for a fake screen. Of course, hits Kmet down the middle through the seam. It's just overall his creativity is working, which is important, because you can be creative all you want, right? But if it doesn't, produce results, that's where you're held to, obviously, especially at this level. So, but he's interesting. He's reminding me a little bit of Ben Johnson. watching the Lions and how creative. Now, he hasn't gotten to that extreme.
Ben Johnson's crazy.
Ben Johnson's got linemen going down the field for touchdowns. And
some of their play calls, the hook and ladders to alignment, like Ben Johnson, I swear, is just out there playing with people. Like, he's just like, look, we're up 30.
That hook and ladder is awesome. I love the execution on it, of course, is so vital, but the timing. But yeah, obviously can't compare him to Ben Johnson, but I think the last couple of weeks with what I've seen with Shane, the creativity is there, and it does remind me a little bit of of Ben in the NFC North. So,
question for you, Dave. I don't know, and again, it's still early, so we still small sample set, right? But specifically these past 2 games, and yes, caveat, it's not been against the greatest defenses, but I don't know if I've seen this level of like play scheme where you have like first off, a decent amount of motions compared to what the Bears normally had in the past 5 years, right? A lot of fakes. I do like how we're executing on our screens now. We've had fake screens. They're then a screen to a different side, or a guard pulling, so it makes it seem like we're running there and then the screen's on the other side. I don't know if I've seen, again, I know it's early, but compared to previous seasons. Maybe like this offense feels like if the previous offenses were like 1.0, this one feels at least like 1.5. I maybe won't go to 2.0 yet. It's early, but it feels like it is a little bit more complex in their building off of things, which is how like really good offensive function, right? They run a play, defense may be able to stop it, but then we can build off that because we know we're going to fake you the next time because you overcorrected on, you saw this play before and you bid on it. So we're starting to see some of that. And again, not great defenses, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you're hitting that like that is perfect. I think they're building stuff. What is working, they're continuing to do, but they're adding on. One of my favorite things from this past weekend was the addition of the QB run game. Now, it wasn't as extensive as Justin Fields, but early on, I think first play, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was the second drive or third drive, but early on, you saw the mobility come into play where it was just reads, right? Inside zone read. And Caleb, of course, was reading it correctly on the C gap right there. And it was cool to see it. It wasn't electric, but it was like, oh, here's 8 easy yards. Here's 10 easy yards. And obviously Caleb had 56 total on the ground, some of that due to scrambles. But I think the building factor, like you said, just building on top of things. Hey, this is working. We'll keep it. We'll obviously they're not like, with Getsy, it was like screen. It just, he wanted it to work. And if it did work, he would go back to it right away. And long story short, the defenses last year were really starting to pick up on the Bears offense. It seems right now, now, of course, it's who they're playing. Of course, the defensive they're playing are not great. Well, heads up, the next 3 are not that great either.
Not good either.
DVOA. And so it's like, you have to do what you have to do. You play who you play. You don't make the schedule. And for me, I think that's such a key point is they are building and they're also adding, but they're throwing stuff out as well. You saw that early on in the season, the first couple of weeks where there's some stuff just was not working. Gerald Everett, of course, right? Wasn't he a focal point in the game plan? For sure. The first week or two? Nope. Out, bring in Cole Kmet. I don't know why this took so long. Of course, you're seeing probably, I think it was one of the top duos, not even just through tight ends, but wide receivers, but Cole Kmet and that connection with Caleb Williams is one 10. Of the. Is it top 10?
Yeah, it's top 10 for EPA.
It's nuts, man.
The first 6 are quarterback to wide receiver, and then you see.
And that's Cole where it's like so hard for me. I'm like, I love Shane what he's been doing. It's like, dude, Cole Kmet should have been an easy inclusion in this offense and should have been a focal point from day one. But again, I like that they're building on top of stuff. So I think you're 100% right there, Ficky. It's a very, very good point.
I think another thing that we've noticed too, and you're seeing this more of a trend with younger quarterbacks just over the years, is the development of shorter passes, more of the left to right passes behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. And basically they're extended run plays, right? But not only that, you're not forcing your quarterback to make difficult throws down the field. And what we noticed with Caleb, right, is probably his biggest weakness right now is his deep accuracy. And I'm not saying like I'm super concerned, but what we've noticed with Shane Waldron is he's been dialing that back. If you look at the amount of attempts for deep passes from like week 1 to 3 versus now for Caleb, it's significantly less, which is great to see, right? Because we see how effective Caleb is in that especially intermediate, right? And also you're keeping the defense on their toes for a team that was not very effective running the ball weeks 1 through 3. You're developing that new run game from some of those screens or those jet touch passes. That was almost a touchdown for DJ Moore in the red zone, right? Some of those complex or mixing in different type of plays that can help extend the run game is important, particularly because we can't run on the inside. Like most of our effective runs all season have been outside zones because our guards, the situation is just not the greatest. So I just, like you said, to double down, I think Shane is adjusting, and that was the biggest problem that we saw from even Nagy years and with Luke Getsy was they couldn't adjust. It was like, this is our game plan. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, we're going to keep doing it. And you never saw like an adjustment or the adjustment was way too late. And it's good to see that Shane, since the Rams game has, changed the tide a little bit, and I think it's good because he's not as bad as what he was. Like if you look at his tenure in Seattle, what he was weeks 1 and 2 was nowhere near what his history has shown. So it's good to see kind of him regress to the mean. And again, I know bad defenses, but you can only play who you play, like you said.
No, the Bears are playing a fourth place schedule. So, I mean, that back half, of course, we've talked about it, is no joke, but these next 3 games are winnable, playing against defenses that you should be able to move the ball on. One of my biggest things I was watching before we hopped on the pod here was the battle of Bo Nix and Spencer Rattler. And looking at Bo Nix right now, because I only saw, I think, both of Denver's drives early in the first, was like who Bo was throwing to. I'm like, God, like who is that? You know, like it really does put in perspective how good Caleb actually really does have it as far as weapons go. Because the Bears have, I mean, we talk about it. It's kind of insane.
Wow.
But Bo Nix, I'm like, man, like we've been there though. A couple of years ago, we saw Justin Fields, you know, so we paid our dues. But it is interesting to really see, you know, obviously we're in the middle of the season. This bye week is really early, I think, right? That's one of the earlier bye weeks the Bears had in a couple of years.
Yeah, super early.
To have it this early through 6 games, it's kind of like you're just now starting to heat up. It's not like it's the middle of the season. It's like we really are starting to figure out an identity, which is cool because that was one of our biggest worries a couple of weeks ago. But offensively, I think we're starting to see it. And so, but it's here and now in the next 3, I'm like, they have to cement it, and it has to be, they have to really, truly have it like set and bought in. Everyone understands, and then just kind of hopefully keep the momentum going after these next 3 games, especially if you win 2 out of 3, hopefully 3 out of 3, you know, best case scenario, because that gauntlet of a division, we've talked about it.
Jeez.
But the stats that have come out of Sunday are nuts.
17-5 for the NFC North combined right now. And they're all on winning streaks. There's a 6 game for the Vikings who are undefeated, 3 games for the Bears, and then Lions are on a 2 game, I think, or 3, and then Packers are on a 2 as well. And on like almost every ranking, the Bears are last in the power rankings, and the lowest they are I've seen so far is 13. So they've been anywhere from like 10 to 13, and that means all other 3 NFC North teams are top 10 in power ranking, and that is scary as hell. Only the Bears' luck would we finally get an offense, and then the NFC North is like, hey, hold my beer.
It won't always be like this. It won't always be like this.
No, it's impossible.
And I think some teams I think they're beatable, but like, yeah, they're actually, the NFC North right now is like on a combined 13-game win streak. Minnesota is 5-0, so they're on a 5-game win streak. The Bears are on a 3-game win streak. Lions also on a 3-game win streak, and then you have the Packers at 2-game win streak. Nuts.
No, it's crazy. Nuts. It's not only that, it's how they're beating teams. That includes us too. I think the top 4 point differentials in the NFL are all in the NFC North. And I think the Lions are 1 because they're just stomping people. I think we're like 3rd.
No, Minnesota's 1.
Oh, Minnesota's 1. Lions 2. Lions 2, Bears 3, and then Packers 4. And I think Packers are like plus 40 or something like that. So it's still like a giant number. So yeah, it is crazy. It
makes you think where the Bears started too, though. It's not like we started off hot. It's more of this, like I said, the last 3 games where we started the offense, or the offense finally started to get going. So,
well, think about the Packers. When Love was in their first 2 games, they lost with Love, and then Malik comes in and they dominate teams. And now they're playing better with Love back. But yeah, the NFC North has been interesting. But at the end of the day, they're going to have to play each other. And we have Vikings Lions this week. I think that's the first one. So sooner or later, some of these teams have to start losing, and then we'll see who kind of the cream rises to the top. So it's going to be a bloodbath, though. As we know, these teams are really good.
No, I agree. I'm excited. Like I said, 6 weeks into this thing, the bye week is interesting. Before we hop into our questions here, what do you think of the early bye? Because I think it's really good timing due to some injuries on the defense, but we don't know what 4 weeks from now is going to look like either. So what are your thoughts? Do you like the early bye? Do you prefer it?
Ideally, you want dead middle, right? I think that's like a perfect break kind of go. Luckily, we've been pretty good on injuries, but this is probably our biggest injuries spot right now. And so it did line up well. Unfortunately, we can't choose when we play in London. So the bye week was just attached to that, right? So it's not like I'd rather have early or mid than late, because sometimes late, it seems like it's too long and some of your injuries have already happened. It's almost like the season's over at that point, right? Especially for us. That's how it typically is. And we
Last
typically
few
have
years,
for sure. And we typically, I think we've had like week 11, week 12, week 13. And so that's not favorable. So it's not the best option, but at least it's not like on that back half.
Yeah.
But we played well off of at least last year we did. We came off the bye and beat the Lions, who are hot at home.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping
that's another thing I like heading into this one is you have 2 weeks essentially now to prepare for less since it's, what is this Thursday night?
Yeah.
So, but you have ample time to go ahead and prepare for that Washington team, especially where you should be able to move the ball on that defense. I think they're 23rd in the NFL in DVOA, and but their offense is what you really need to prepare for. So get healthy, one. But I think this Bears defense has a really great opportunity to really solidify because they're talked about highly, right? But you shut down an offense in Washington right now that's been able to move the ball on everyone. You make Jaden Daniels actually look like a rookie. I think it's gonna be good. It's a matchup 325. It got flexed as it should. Tony Romo and Nance are going to be there. So I mean, it's gonna be a huge game. But for me, it's like if the Bears defense wants to be considered, elite, you got to shut this guy down. It's a rookie quarterback. Understand they're firing on all cylinders, but they should be able to do it, right?
I think they're averaging like 30 plus points a game. And the Bears have not given up more than 21 points, I think, in like 13
12
games
straight. 12 or 13.
Yeah, so something's got to bend, right? And I have more faith in our defense because they've been consistently good than, a rookie quarterback being able to do that against our defense, right? So I think what will determine that game, and obviously we'll talk about it in our pregame next week, is going to be if the offense can kind of match the firepower. Because I think the defense will be able to do that.
I'm stoked about that pregame. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be crazy. National media on this one is going to be wild. The NFL they did the right thing flexing this one. Here's actually a great comment I want to address here with Big Mike 76 on YouTube. Appreciate the comment. He said, I like the early bye week because in 6 weeks we have the Thursday night game and we'll get a mini bye week. It's a good point. Those mini bye weeks do help too. I didn't know that either.
Mike you are thinking way ahead. I love that. I honestly, I knew about it. Obviously we get the schedule how many, months in advance, but yeah, I forgot about that. So it is really good timing to kind of have both of those. That's a really good point. Really, really good point. Back onto, don't want to preview the Redskins, the Washington Commanders. I think it's a really good matchup. It's a testament to Caleb versus Jaden, but I think it's also for the Bears defense. It is a really good opportunity to hopefully really solidify themselves as top 3. We talk about them top 5, top 10, but if you can really, really shut down that type of offense, it's gonna be interesting. I don't know if they can. We'll get to that next week.
We'll find out. Sure. We got some time.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and hop into our questions. Like I said, we have a lot to get to. You guys have sent in a lot. If you're on the YouTube live chat right now, first of all, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat if you'd like. We'll star it. We'll get to it as well. So if you weren't able to hop on Twitter and submit your questions, then I will. Then we'll get to those at the end of the show as well.
I just want to mention this. It said a brilliant hoop said post the X comments too. We do. We share. If you're any platform, we make sure to share the love. And if you're on Twitter, you have questions as well, send them in. Facebook.
And if you guys, while we're going through these questions, if you disagree, if you agree, obviously throw it in the chat. If you have your own perspective, throw it on, comment. We're going to share it as well. This is kind of just like a good group think session. Obviously you guys have sent in so many fun questions. It'll be fun to kind of go through it, Ficky and I. But again, everyone is involved, wherever it is, Facebook. I know we get a few of those. Send them in. And this is gonna be fun. So, but before we do, if you're here on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe. We're on a road to 10,000 subs. We're getting close. So we appreciate the support there. And of course, the easiest way, the best way to do that is just hit that like button. And we appreciate it. So question number 1, Ficky, and how this is going to work. I'm going to go through these questions. Ficky, you'll start, and then I'll chime in. If I have anything to kind of add to it, if I completely agree, obviously it'll be short. If I disagree, we'll kind of have a little conversation with it. So you guys, it's been a little bit. It's been a couple months since a Q&A.
I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what these questions are.
Yeah. You have not looked at these, I don't think.
I have not.
So I'm going to start here. Would you trade, and this is from Huncho on Twitter, BVDHHA is the @. He goes, would you trade Khalil Herbert?
Yeah, you got to. I think I was looking at his snap count today. I think it's like 13 snaps all season. Like 13 on offense, at least. I know he does some on special teams, but like, bro, you're not in the rotation. Now, you're not going to. Also, another key part is that you're not in the rotation, and this is the last year of your deal. So it's either you play him or you let him walk, and neither of those are probably going to happen. Well, I mean, playing him might be the best option, but if you're not going to do that, you can't just let him walk. I'd rather get a 6th or 7th, right? Maybe you could get a 5th. Probably not, but getting something back for someone you're not using just from asset allocation makes the most sense. I would hate to see him go, but he's not playing.
Yeah, I think his role in that running back room is the odd man out. However, you're an injury away from needing him. That's always what is concerning. I hate that, he could potentially walk away from nothing. He is a free agent. But you could also maybe sign him because I don't know how many teams are going to be, at least dropping big time money, right? So for me right now, his contribution in the running back room is not great, but the special teams is where it's at because he does have some snaps there. I actually think he made a play or two last week. He's very, very. It's just like stability in my opinion with him because if Roschon goes down, you're going to see more Khalil, right? Same with Swift. Knock on wood. And then what he brings in that special teams unit, I think is not irreplaceable, at least not right now. And you have Bayless already gone, inactive. You got Nate Davis who's inactive. So for me, I think Khalil, as much as I would love to get something for him right now, I think the smart thing is to hold on to him and then talk about it. If you really like him as a player and you can get him either for a hometown discount, right? Where he doesn't want to change sooner, where he doesn't want to go and, bring up his family and move, where you can get him sign him for a 2-year, $7 million, $8 million deal, right? Maybe $3-4 million guaranteed. That's a really, I think would be a good little spot as far as a special teamer. And then a guy who we've seen it in the past, be a pretty good value running back, right? Whether it's in pass game, he doesn't have elite speed, but I think right now I would hold on to him because that third, you're not getting the third, but the value in return is probably a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick, man.
Yeah, it's late. Yeah.
So for me, it's like that's not going to help you right now, and if it's that late of a pick, it's not really going to help you unless you hit the lottery next year, right? Or you're throwing it in a package. So for me, hold on to him. You really, really like him. I think you can get him for a good, cheap return next year. Otherwise, you'd hate to not have him. And the way that he's in a very, very good replacement level back, sure. If not a starter on some fringe teams. Because you're looking at Bo Nix right now. I was thinking, man, I think they would like Khalil Herbert.
Well, I know that's why it works Williams,
but it's like,
what? I think that's what works against him because I think he's like, look, I can start on some of these teams, so I don't think he's going to take a hometown disc. But
didn't think about that. But
no. I think your points are valid in the way that he's good enough to play, so you want him on your team. The problem is his contract, and that we gave a lot to Swift, so now you're allocating a good amount of your budget, like a percentage of your full salary cap, to running backs. Even though it won't be much for him, I think he'll probably be like, let me get my money elsewhere, particularly because he didn't even play much this year.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's going to happen. We don't know all the variables that go into it, but
even if he walks next year, I still think you keep him. There's value in having him on this roster for the rest of the season, especially if you're trying to make a deep injuries. Playoff run and injuries, especially in that running back room.
You get a 4th. If you can get a 4th, I might ship him off. Because a 4th is pretty decent. That could end up being
that's Torrey Taylor
for sure.
It's Austin Booker.
That's
or Booker
Eddie
was
Jackson,
5th, right?
Yeah, Booker was 5th, but that's like Eddie Jackson. We've drafted Tariq Cohen. There's good people you can get in the 4th. So if you get something that high, like maybe let's say, for example, the Chiefs or a contending team loses a running back and they really need someone,
Yeah,
for sure, that's where you can make that move. But I agree with you. If it's like super late 7-6, how much is it worth having one of those later picks, which success rate isn't super high, versus just having a valuable player on your team in case of like break glass for injuries? So interesting situation, but I do not think, this might be just my take on it, I don't think he's going to be on the team next year.
I don't think so either. Especially, I think the point you made of the money allocated to Swift, and you can get a running back in the draft, a young one that maybe has a little bit more burst than Herbert, and maybe you can just find someone better, right, and cheaper than what Herbert is going to be next year. So
for sure.
Good points. Love the question. Moving on, Brian Dem on Twitter, he goes, who do you see being the next big extension on the Bears? And then he followed it up. He goes, do we or should we extend Tevin or Keenan? So that was going to be my one. I was going to go Tevin. I was going to go Tevin if he stays healthy the rest of the year. He had, he went out a little bit. He's been in and out a little bit, but like he's played in majority of all the games, right? And I think like he's percentage-wise like 90+% of the snaps. Now he's had a couple, maybe not like bad, but I'd say like below expectation for Tevin. But he's also had games where it's like, oh, that's Tevin Jenkins, right? That looks like the guy that he's looked like the past couple of years when he's on the field. So if there's anyone you're going to extend, I mean, he's done his contract year, it would probably be him next. I also, as we know, the weakest part of our team is the offensive line. And so like it's hard to find good offensive linemen. So I would want Poles to focus on keeping, because like if Tevin's gone, that's another hole we have to worry about. Possibly left tackle with Braxton Jones. He's serviceable, but there might be an upgrade there. Right guard, obviously, with the Nate Davis situation and whoever fills in there with Matt Pryor, right? Upgrade there. And then now you have to also replace your left guard and center easily too. So now you have to replace 3 to 4 people in your offensive line when you have a second-year quarterback. No. Lock in someone who's at least, when they're on the field, they're average to above average. And that's one less position you have to worry about, in my take. Yeah. So you're going with Tevin. I think Tevin's definitely good. I think he's the ideal target. Ryan Poles, or I think it was Tevin Jenkins before the season even started, revealed, or Tevin revealed that the Bears told him, hey, let's reconvene at the bye, which is now. So I wonder if there are talks actually going on right now at Hallis, at least bringing it up, because you said you were, 1, and 2, it's a real conversation you have to have because Tevin has played this year. Sure, he didn't finish the game. Was it the Rams game?
Yeah.
But he came back. He didn't miss any time after that, right? So it's like, and it's a football type, like the ribs, it sucks. I understand why he couldn't come back out there, right? It's painful. Sure. It's something you can't really, it's just a freak incident. It's going to happen when you're playing a physical sport, contact. And so for me, but he came back, played his best game last week.
Yes, he did.
So for me, how I'm thinking, and I'm sure the Bears are smarter than me, of course. Okay, Tevin, the guard market, right? The line, defensive or offensive, is going to be expensive. We saw it last year, right? In free agency. So with Tevin, I think you can get him at a discount because of those injury concerns. How is his back? But for me, you're going to pay money, but you're going to be paying, I think, substantially under what, first of all, if he was able to stay healthy and he had no concerns, and what the top market value is for a guy, a player in Tevin. So I think right now you could sign him for a very, very good team-friendly deal where he also gets paid because that's what he's looking for. He's earned it, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Now, if he comes to the table and he's like, and his agents are wanting, top of the market, sorry, buddy.
A little tough. Yeah.
But I don't think Tevin's like that. I think he wants to stay in Chicago. I think he has earned at least a pretty good deal. And I think it's going to work for both sides. So I hope Tevin and those negotiations are on the table right now and going on. But I like the idea because there's Keenan brought up. Man,
I'm not mad
we
about
saw
that.
It last week.
I'm not mad about it, right? They can do both.
And I know, but the thing with Keenan, I think as much as he would want to stay in Chicago, I think he's going to want to get one more decent pay day because
For sure.
he's getting a little older. But I think the Bears that's the thing with the rookie deal, right? If this thing really turns out where it's like everyone is thriving, the offense continues to hit its stride and does not look back all the way to week 17, and Keenan is playing well and having those 2 touchdown games, maybe a couple times the rest of the year, where he ends up with like 6-7 tutties, 800 yards. I just don't see why you can't bring Keenan back on maybe a little bit more of expensive deal, but it's only 2 years, man. Have it out after a year. Yeah, something like that. So, but for me, I think you lock up Tev on a good value deal. I think that's on the table. And I think you have conversations with Keenan. Maybe not right now, but I guarantee you by week 9, week 10, I think we'll have a pretty good idea if the Bears are going to want to. But I would not mind it because you saw it last week. He was 5 for 5 on catches and targets. Yeah. All of them going for a first down, dude.
He's a dog. That's why we traded for him. It's Keenan Allen. He's a dog. So I'm not mad about either of that. The one thing that I feel comfortable with, because we've seen it throughout Poles' tenure, is that he's not going to overpay. He has not done it yet. Now, he may have signed someone in free agency that didn't turn out well. Example, Nate Davis. And so it looks like an overpay because you ended up just signing someone who, is not getting, not living up to his expectations. But when you actually look at the deals, you're like, oh, we can cut Nate Davis next year, save $10 million. It's not like you, what's the word? Like you mitigated, you allowed yourself to still be flexible. You didn't go so much against your cap that now you're stuck with this player that's not doing well. So Poles has been very good. Poles and I would say his team, I'm sure it's not just all him, obviously, but they've been very good from a financial standpoint with their deals and with their trades. So even when they do miss, they can get out of them quickly and effectively and still be able to maneuver in a great way. So whether it's Tevin, whether it's Keenan, both or neither, I do feel good that our GM will be able to keep us in a spot to be flexible, to keep improving this team. That won't always be the case. Like sooner or later, you'll have to go all in. But obviously, first year rookie quarterback, that's not the case yet. And I feel very comfortable with that. So I think they both can get done. We have a lot of cap space, and I don't think we're going to overpay for either. And if we do for Keenan, it'll be short so we can get out the second year. So
I love it. I think we got a super.
We do. From our man Tito, $10 super chat. Really appreciate it, Tito. He said, we got to stop saying they're playing bad defenses. It was Mahomes or Burrow. Yeah, because they are vets and they know how to pick apart crappy Ds. Caleb is a rookie. The fact that he's playing like a vet is crazy. And, look, Jack said it last week. We've said it this week. You can't control the teams you play. Like, you can only show up and play – right? Because it'd be a completely different story if he would have showed up against these bad teams and not performed well. They'd be like, oh, doom and gloom. Caleb's so bad. But then when he plays well against them, it's like, oh, but these teams suck. So it's like, no matter what, you can spin it either way. So I'm just happy that he's showing up. He's getting a little bit more confidence. We've talked about it. The offense is starting to heat up a little bit. The play schemes are starting to look well. The running game's developing. So everything's starting to look promising, and that's all we can ask for in this offense.
Yeah. Hey, first of all, thank you, Tito. We appreciate it. Seriously, Tito's amazing. I don't know why. I don't know why he always comes in the hot with those supers though.
We appreciate it.
But I agree. I think I've kind of ignored it now in regards to hearing the excuses. But it's like, for me, the biggest difference is what you said. Ficky, they're killing these teams. It's not like they're winning by a field goal or even a touchdown. They're doing stuff that I don't think we've ever seen, at least in a long time, when it comes to Bears teams, where they're able to absolutely, punish teams that are bad, right?
Absolutely.
It's refreshing. 2 weeks in a row, kind of cloud nine, especially after that win on Sunday.
For sure.
So I agree. I appreciate it.
Thank you for before we go to the next one, Dave, first off, thank you for the super chat again. If you guys want to support us, feel free to send in super chats. We do appreciate it. Also, if you want to support us for free, give us a like and subscribe. Like Dave said earlier, we're on the road to 10K, really close in every subscription, right? Subscriber helps. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. We really do appreciate it. And if this is your first time, please give a like and subscribe, and also leave a hashtag new face gang in the chat. We always give a shout out to new people that are watching. If it's your first time, we really do appreciate it. You don't have to spend your Thursday night with us, so we do appreciate that. If it's not your first time and you've been here multiple times, as you know, you are a true OG. And if you leave a hashtag OG in the chat, we'll give you a shout out before the end of the show as well. Again, all this interactions, comments, likes, subscribes, all of those help just push our show out to the YouTube algorithm to get to more important people like y'all, because we're really, really, really trying to build a community here, because this show is the #1 show by the fans. Me and Dave are fans like y'all, and it's for fans just like y'all. So whether this team is hot like they are now and beating people out, we can come here and have a joyful celebration and tip the hats off. But if they suck, as we've seen in previous years, we can come here and have our vent sessions as well. So we just appreciate all the support so far. Also, if you want to support us fiscally, we do have a store. That's the BFRstore.com, where you can find hats, hoodies, shirts. We're working on some other new designs as we speak now. You can go on there and support us on there. We really do appreciate it. That's the BFRstore.com. You can find the description down below. And then also, if you want to support us in our ongoing community, you can join our Patreon, and that's the BFR Den on Patreon. And we have exclusives on there like monthly giveaways, private Zoom calls, mailbag episodes, and we're working on a bunch of other stuff. More to come. We have a free tier in there if you just want to join and kind of see what's going on. We have our exclusive, we have our rookie Grizzly tier, and we have our Hall of Fame tier as well in there. So go ahead if you want to just join in there. We're growing a community. You get access to our private Discord as well, where you can communicate to Dave and us during games, after our pre-games, whenever, and we're always in there chatting it up. So we really do appreciate the support from all of y'all so far. So again, if this is your first time, give a hashtag new face gang in the chat. We'll give you a shout out. And if you're an OG, give a hashtag OG in the chat as well. And we'll give you a shout out. Now back to the show. Dave, what we have next.
So yeah, next question is from Jay on Twitter. He goes, are we good or victim of the schedule? Obviously want to apologize for 4-2. Never apologize for 4-2. I agree. I'll start with this one. I think we're good. But I think it's a mix, right? Because the offense needed these games to kind of get going. I think they needed to find the rhythm, some confidence, find an identity. And the opponents are obviously helping that as well because of the quality, especially on the defensive side. So I think it's a mix of both. But, yeah. You, Fick?
Look, we knew, like you said, it's a 4th place schedule. So these are the teams we're supposed to play. And it's a perfect recipe for a rookie quarterback who maybe wasn't having the best confidence early on get into his groove. So what I said, and you guys said the same thing earlier on, is that I think it's great that we're playing the gauntlet near the end of the season, because I want to get all the hiccups, the hurdles out of the way early, so that Caleb can go into the back half of the season and, the offense has developed more. They're stacking plays, right? They're making more complex plays, and they're, the scheme is starting to develop. They're starting to figure out what works and what doesn't. So I think that mix altogether is going to be important when you play, like we talked about, this tough NFC North schedule. This is no joke. So facing them early, like, you imagine how bad Caleb played against the Titans. Could you imagine if that was week 1 against the Packers like it normally is? All the media stuff he's got to deal with, the fans going at him, like the media aspect, that's not great. We've seen how that turns out for previous quarterbacks. So I'm thankful to the NFL schedule gods that we don't have to worry about that until later. It's a week-by-week basis. We can only play who's in front of us, and I'm just happy that it's a little bit lighter on the defensive side for our rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I don't even want to know what it really would have looked like if we played a quality opponent in week 1, especially being Green Bay, where they always are ready and always kill us. I think there's one funny, that comment you brought up from Jeremy talking about Eminem and was it 50? 50.
Ficky and Dave and them. That's kind of funny.
That was funny.
Appreciate it, Jeremy.
Okay, and let's get to this next question here. Appreciate that question though, Jay. This one's from Rift Bear on Twitter. He goes, 5 favorite Bears currently. Ficky, I'm gonna let you start.
5 favorite. I'll go 1, and then you can go next. I would say favorite Bear. That's a great question. I mean, it's
currently,
man.
I actually have my 5 ready somehow.
Okay, That's fair. You did see it first, but I think I got to go one. No pun intended. I got to go Jalen Johnson.
Okay.
CB1 for me. The man's confidence is through the roof, and he's a leader of this team. So, like that's the three things you look for with some of your star players, and I just love the moxie that he has. And again, I mean, if you look at his stats, which I think, Dave, you tweeted about it earlier this week. Like
every week, it's so elite, dude.
Shut down. No one is throwing to him, and when they do, you're not catching it. So I think that's got to be my favorite one. What a great deal by Poles as well with the price point for how he's playing. So that'd be my number one.
And that's another thing with, I mean, he had some injury concerns similar to Tevin. Can you get a great deal where Tevin, anyways. So yeah, this is tough because there are so many fun players, so many great players on this team, good personalities. I'm going to start with Cole Kmet though. I think it's just hometown kid, from Chicago, humble, funny. He's a podcaster now too. So we have that in common.
About the only ththing we have in common.
Yeah.
Right?
The dude is built like Superman too. So it's like, he's just an awesome, down to earth guy. And he's one of the more underrated players in this league, not even just tight ends, because I think he's truly easily a top 5 tight end, easily.
Top 8 at least for
happy
sure.
for the games he has. He's also has 5, I saw the stat, 5 2-touchdown games as a Bear. That is second most in franchise history. He's trailing one. He needs one more game to be tied for first, which is with Mike Ditka. So,
Jesus.
I mean, he's just a quality tight end, way better than I think a lot of people give him.
He doesn't have
give him credit
like
for
the splash plays. That's why. But like
he's insane though. Like he never drops a pass.
He doesn't. His hands
crazy.
are blue, bro. He is great. Yeah, I think that's a great pick.
I want to see your guys because this is hard. I want to see where I kind of rank with your guys' comments. So if you are in the chat right now, give us your 5. We'll throw it on the screen, kind of debate it too, and we'll go a little bit quicker here. But so we'll do a little snake draft. Number 2 for me, DJ Moore. Love DJ, funny. Love his body language. That was my next one. Jack. That was yours too?
Yeah, that was my next one. But I got another one online. Okay. That's funny. Wait a second. I'm trying to find there was a comment here. I think it was from Alex. I got to see if here it is. So we can answer this real quick and we'll go back to ours. But he said, "Where's Jack? I need an update on DJ Moore's body language." Jack is at work right now, so he couldn't make it with us. But that is funny. We'll have to make sure to tell him that one. So Jack. I love it. But yeah, and then we have a comment here. Let's share this one real quick. Mr. James, he had Kmet, TJ Edwards. Hint, hint. That's my next one. DJ, even with his body language, 4 Jalen Johnson and 5 Caleb.
I like that, James. All right.
So two for me is TJ Edwards, just because like he may not be as vocal.
3 was right.
Or no,
DJ was 2,
Snake, right? Your 2 was DJ, right?
Oh, I thought we were just giving our own.
Yeah, because I only gave 1. I only gave Jalen Johnson was 1.
You said Cole, and then I thought you said 2 was going to be DJ as yours as well.
Oh, okay. It was. You're right. Okay. Yeah, so DJ would be 2, and then 3 would be TJ. He may not be as like vocal, but like dude, low key, other than Jalen, and Montez is great too, but TJ Edwards might be at least last year he was, and this year he still looks in form. He might be the best player on our defense, or at least the most underrated player on our defense. He never gets any type of national media.
He's the Cole Kmet of linebackers.
Wow, that is beautiful. Yep.
In my opinion.
He just balls out. He balls out. So that's my 3rd, just purely from production. Okay. What about you?
So my 3rd is Caleb Williams. And then my 4th is your 1st, which is Jalen Johnson. I'm not going to elaborate on that. What you said was 100% correct. Love Jalen. Who's your 4th?
So I think 4th would have to be Caleb. Caleb's obviously making top 5 on this one. I think that's for reasons that we all know. I mean, this is potentially, right? Asterisk, a franchise quarterback we have not had in a minute, right? So no matter what, this is a quarterback-driven league. There's no way he's not your top 5. And just from the plays and production that we've seen the past 3 weeks, how are you not excited to have him on there? So what about who's your last one? 5.
Oh, this is such a tough list. Like I said,
can I guess it?
Who?
I think I know it is. Brisker?
It's Brisker. Yeah, easily. I love Brisker. Seriously, one of my favorite players. He should be higher, but that's just a testament to how good this roster is and the personalities. Seeing him tweet on Sunday. He really cares about this team. He cares about the fans. He's one of it's a shame he's at 5 because he could be tied for first, honestly. All of these guys could be. So who's your 5th before we go to some honorable mentions?
Yeah, my 5th is actually, I do love Brisker. He's an honorable mention, but 5th for me is Gordon. Kyler Gordon has been honestly one of the best tacklers, defensive back tacklers on our squad. He has so many plays in the backfield or like potential third down stops, him alone one-on-one. It's been like fantastic. And a lot of people don't talk about it. Like they know Kyler Gordon's been good, but I'm like, bro, like you need to stop one-on-one. This man is making the tackle, particularly behind the line of scrimmage. So the man has been a baller, and then plus who doesn't love the true Spider-Man, right? So Kyler Gordon's got to be my 5.
Yeah. So honorable mentions real quick. Torrey Taylor, he's riding up the ranks. Jervon Dexter comes to mind. Tremaine Edmonds.
Yep.
I mean, we're gonna name the whole roster. The whole roster. It's just so. Yeah. I think there's a comment here from Jeremy. He goes, just 5 is so difficult.
Yeah.
And that's such a fun scenario to be in because a couple of years ago, I mean,
not the case.
It was not looking as good.
It was not.
Testament to Ryan Poles and and this Bears coaching, Bears staff in general. Ian Cunningham, they've done such a good job loading up on talent. They have multiple picks next year. So this team is going to continue to be young. They're going to be, fun. I think as the younger players come into just the personalities that are coming out from NIL, these college deals. I mean, there really are superstar qualities in a lot of these players, especially, you named Gordon. I mean, he's probably one of the biggest personalities on this team.
Yeah.
And I could not believe he didn't make my top 5.
No, it's hard. And there's 2 honorable mentions, I think, that, well, at least for mine, one of them, I don't think you would, people probably wouldn't have on their honorable mention. One of them, obviously, is Sweat, right? He's just a dog. We know that.
Yeah.
But one who's been really climbing the ranks, Kevin Byard. Every clip that comes out of him, I'm like, oh, this is the leader of the. Like, I'm almost like, dude, have you been on this team for like more than a couple months, right? He's really stepping up as that veteran leader presence, and then also his play has been absolutely fantastic. I think top 5 in PFF, right? Take it how it is, but like grading wise, he's a top 5 safety in the NFL, and statistically, it's been really good as well. Even if you're not looking at PFF, like you just compare raw stats, he looks like a top 10 safety. So for Poles to get a great deal on that, again, shout out Poles for Kevin Byard. That's literally probably, in my opinion, other than TJ Edwards, that's probably smaller sample size, but probably his best free agency signing behind Edwards. So
no, good job. Poles made it hard on us. It's pretty cool. Real quick, let's fire through. I cannot believe I knew it would take.
When you said 25, I was like, bro, we talking.
Yeah, let's try to knock some of these out.
Yeah.
Marsh on Twitter, this is real quick. Do you think Washington will break Fluke's 21 points or fewer streak? I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go no.
Okay,
I'm gonna go no, but we'll see. It could happen. It could happen.
We'll have our game preview too. Next week. So tune in for that. Hit the subscribe button. We'll be there. So this one is from Huncho. As well. This one goes, would you trade Carolina's pick plus our 3rd for Crosby? Hell yes, but that is not what it's going to take.
Way more than that. You're going to need a first.
We're starting at 2 first for Max Crosby, unfortunately. This one's a really cool one too from Nest on Twitter. He goes, can you talk about how lucky we are to have Komet? Seriously, underrated and is an incredible asset to our offense. Never seems to drop anything thrown his way. And dude is massive. I hope he stays a Bear for a long time. Well, that extension kicked in this year, or not.
He'll be here for a minute.
Signed that extension this year, so he's going to be here for a minute. But I agree, Komet is just not talked about enough, and he may go down as one of my favorite Bears of all time. That 85 jersey is that's a good one to have right now.
For sure.
So
for sure, the vibes are high with Komet for sure. Keeps his production up, how he has every year. He's gotten better and better.
This is a good one.
He'll be a good one.
Charlie Wilson. On Twitter, is there any outcome this season in which Flus loses his job? Hard for me to believe that's the case regardless of record with how he has the defense going and with a rookie quarterback.
Unless we go winless, the only way it happens if we go winless in the NFC North. I think that's the only way he gets fired. And I don't see that happening. Like I really we're gonna win something in there. There's a game. It's just that's how it is with in division battles. Like teams that maybe aren't the best, they sneak away a win somehow, right? So, but if we go 0-6, I think he'll be done. But I don't think that's happening. So I think he's going to be the coach for next year, whether people like it or not.
0-6, I think you're canned. I do. I think 1-6 could get you canned potentially. I think you got to win at least 2 to 3 games.
Yeah, if you go 2-4, I think you're safe.
2, I think can get you out the way because I mean, if you take care of business, you win these next 3 games, right?
Right.
That are very winnable.
7
You got Washington, Arizona, and then New England.
Yep.
You are 7-2. You go 2-6 against the Gauntlet, right?
2-4.
2-4, and then you have a couple other games outside. I think it'll be fine. The division's tough, so I don't think they're going to hold it too much to him. Where it's like, these teams are a little ahead of schedule. Maybe not the Vikings, but Sam Darnold, how he's playing, I think he might come down. But I think it's interesting. I don't think Flus right now is. I think he's on the track to stay.
Yeah,
especially with how Ryan Poles talks so highly of him, right? And that management loves him. So it would have to be a detrimental, a catastrophic end to the season.
It would have to be a bad losing streak for sure. Yeah. And so if he wins these next 3 and you're 7-2, right? That means you only need to sneak out 3 wins of your remaining ones. If you get to 10 wins, you're not getting fired, right? Like, I think the Vegas lines for us was like 8.5 wins, I think. Maybe, I think it was 8.5. So if you're getting above the Vegas line, you're going to be fine. And I promise you, if this team, any Bears team, gets to double-digit wins, which they haven't done since 2018, you're not getting canned. That means Flus every year has gotten better. So why would you fire then your coach, right? So like you said, Dave, you get these next 3 wins. I think these are actually the most important when it comes to his coaching, like hot seat. Because if you win those, you're on a 6-game winning streak, and you only need to find 3 wins out of your next 8 or something? Or no, that'd be 7-2. There's 17 games. 3 out of your next 8. Even if you get 2 and you get to 9 wins, I think you're safe. So if he goes 2-6,
I think you're going to want to see this thing through with him too, at least next year, especially if because next year expectations are going to be crazy high because you're heading into year 2 with Caleb. There's going to be more and more additions. Lovey did. That's very true.
That was a mistake. It was a mistake. And that was on the back end too. So that was he had been here for a minute. This is only year 3. And also this is Poles' first guy. So he's tied to him. So it really, like things like you said, Dave, has to be catastrophic for you to make that big of a decision, in my opinion. I'd rather rock with what's working and then try to build off it.
Flus is a good coach, man. He's definitely a great DC, but a good coach, good leader.
Great DC, for sure.
Ryan Bradley on Twitter. What's your season record prediction now after seeing Caleb's growth, play, injuries, trades around the league?
I'm sorry, say that one more time. What was the growth
just record prediction, given all the growth from Caleb, injuries around the league, and how everyone's playing?
Okay, so I'm going to be optimistic on the next 3. I think we actually win all 3, which is crazy, right? Because some people probably say 2-1, but I just feel really confident. NFC North is a different story. So I think we split one of the 2. It's like Seattle, and I think we have a Seattle, and then it's NFC North. So I think we lose to Seattle, and then we go 2-4 in the NFC North, which then makes 7-9. So I'm thinking 9-8.
Okay.
If I did the math correctly in my head. Yeah. But I don't think we have and that was, I think, my initial record prediction, but I don't think we go less than 9. Like, I think it's either 9 or above.
I think we get to 10. I think 10-7, man. I think they shock a couple people with some of these. I think 10-7. I think that gets you in. I don't think 9-7 gets you in, but
not with the NFC North.
No,
like,
but I think it's possible. I think it's been only one time. Was it 3 times? Was it 4? No, 3 teams. 3 times, or
I don't know if
3 teams made it from that. Can all 4? I think it's happened once.
Yeah, it's very, very hard. That means you would have to have a division that someone gets in, but their win, like only one team gets in from that division, and the rest of the teams in that division are so bad. You've seen it before. I think the NFC East,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say like 5 years ago, they literally the number one seed of that division or the leader of it was like below 500.
Yeah.
So you need
8
something
wins.
you need something like that to happen, which could
Yeah.
happen for the NFC
But I
East
think
because they don't
3
look
teams,
great.
I think 3 teams, very, very, very high possibility that 3 teams could come out of NFC North if they continue at this pace, of course. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it is interesting. Let's see here. Let's knock out a couple more.
And then we gotta let's get at least a couple of our chat ones as well.
Yeah, let's go to a couple of those real quick.
Okay, let's do that.
And then we'll do our shout outs just because I mean, man, you guys are amazing. We appreciate the questions, but
so many. We would love to answer them.
We try to give them. We don't want to just answer. Maybe we can do a couple quick ones to knock off, like yes or no or whatever.
Okay.
On
we
Twitter.
Can do that. Okay. So here we go. Here from X-Ray on X said, will this new offensive line hold up against better teams? I'll let you go first on this one.
I think they will hold up. Not that it's going to be pretty, but they will hold up and they will give Caleb a chance, especially as he matures. And we're already seeing him get the ball out quick. I think it's going to hold up. I don't think it's going to be perfect.
Definitely not.
The question is, does it hold up? And I think it is because I don't think we're going to see those 5, 6, 7, 8 sack games. I think it could be like 3, 4, where it's like, gosh, or the pressure rate might be high. But I think it's going to be adequate enough to continue. I think they're going to be fine. So.
Yeah, 2 to 4 sacks in there is probably what we're going to be seeing. So, which is winnable, right? It's winnable. So when you start to get to like 5 and above, that's where it's like, okay, buddy, that's not happening.
Yeah, unless you're doing the same thing over there.
True. Mike Blazing on YouTube said, are there any offensive line targets we can look at before the deadline? I'll answer this one real quick because there is one that I was looking at, and that was Wyatt Teller, right guard on the Browns. The Browns are dog shit, right? And they are definitely selling right.
Yeah.
Yep, they're definitely sellers right now at the trade deadline. Now, he's ranked 30th in PFF and with only a cap hit of about 11 million. And I saw on like a Browns podcast, they're saying that he could possibly trade it for like a 5th or a 6th. And that's not bad because what you're getting then is a veteran right guard who's had some really good games and some like okay games, but you're getting an average starting right guard, right? Which I still would think would be an improvement over, well, Nate Davis isn't playing, but over Matt Pryor. And you don't have to spend so much on him because his cap hit this year is only 11 million. And I think he only has one more year on his deal as well. So that means you could get out of it if it doesn't work out. So really taking on 11 million for 1 year for a 5th or 6th possibly might be worth it. So that would be like my only target I would probably go at. Because left guard, leave. Center, I don't want to switching it up midway through the season. Like, let's keep Coleman Shelton there, even though he's not the best. And maybe we could something with the right guard because it's obviously interior. Tackles have been okay.
I'll tell you what, I don't think they're making a move for any offensive linemen, especially because they don't come available. But you're getting Ryan Bates back here soon. Hopefully, you're getting Larry Borum. That will add those 2 pieces will be depth. I think the Bears could maybe send off Nate Davis if they can get something for him, right? Because offensive linemen do not come available. It's very rare. Nate Davis, I know, I get it. He's inactive. He's only given up 1 sack. He's given up 8 pressures, I think, this year. And he's committed 3 penalties, but I think he has a pretty good overall efficiency rate when it comes to blocking both in pass and run. It's just when he's out there, the film and the communication is just so bad. The light that it puts him in is terrible. And so I think a new scenery for him is obviously a must. It's going to happen.
He's going to get cut.
Yeah.
It's either trade him or he's getting cut.
If they can get something, package him with Bayless or something. I don't know. I think that's a high possibility, but I don't think they're making a move, especially with those 2 players that I talked about, Borum and Bates coming back for that added depth. So
I honestly think the Bears, because it's buyer seller season, I think they should be neither. Like maybe buyers of depth, that's okay, right? Because those aren't expensive. Like especially for the offensive line, defensive line. But I'd rather hold and just let's see how this rookie quarterback. Hold. Let's just see how this rookie quarterback plays out.
I'm so glad you said it because I see, Max Crosby. I see those questions. But, dude, to mortgage not the future. Well, Max Crosby will cost you the future. It's a max trade. It's a Khalil Mack trade that I'm not willing to give up because you got Austin Booker back there, right? You got Montez Sweat, of course. But then you have building through the draft is what Ryan Poles wants to do. You have all these picks, man. You talk about having Sweat. You already paid him. Booker, say he comes along early training camp next year proves he's already showing in spurts that he can make some plays. The effort's there. End of the season, we could be looking at a fringe starter, right? Getting better as he progresses. He's 22 years old. He's going to get better. Then you bring in a blue chip, maybe first round edge rusher if he falls to you, or with one of those second round picks. Carolina's, right? That's basically going to be a high first round pick, right?
I mean,
33rd, it could be great for us. So you can add in 2 players that are going to be able to, one, be young, have a good contract value in regards to what even you're already saving with Caleb Williams. So for me, it's like I'm not ready this year to go all in because if you see in the NFC North, it's fucking – if the NFC North was not what it is right now, I'd be like, okay, let's go all in. Let's get command. We're 4-2 in first place. No, we're 4-2, as it says in the graph, in third place. So for me, I think you want to hold on to your chips, especially as far as just building through the draft, because this is what has got them there. Young players in that secondary through the draft. Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Tyreek Stevenson.
Unless the only situation, because Poles has hit on it most times, is like trading the second. He's traded a second rounder almost every year. So it will be interesting if there is like a young player that no one really had their eyes on that's like ascending, because that's what he likes to find. That I would be okay with. Not someone who's already superstar level, because how much you have to mortgage for that, like you said. I just don't think this team is. We're not there yet.
That second round pick is going to be impact player, added value instantly, but then the real value comes from that contract.
That's a Jaquan Brisker, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson.
The position Gordon. You're going to get is going to be one that is paid very well. So even if you go trenches, even if you go
expensive,
edge rusher, anywhere, it doesn't matter, man. And so for me, I agree with you. I'm glad you said that. I haven't tweeted it because I've seen all the trade scenarios. I just don't go big this year. Wait, go through the draft. That's where you can go big. It's not instant gratification, but it's like, man, we're seeing it pay off right now, where they went back to back on defense with Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, and you're seeing those players make impact, game-changing plays week in, week out through the first 6 weeks of the season. Now they're both out right now, one concussion, the other hamstring, but it's looking good.
We've been down that road before where you make that big trade a little bit too early. And ironically, it was also with the Raiders and it was a defensive end. Now, the player you got back was
I love Max.
Yeah, Crosby, Max will be great. Khalil Mack was great too. But can we learn from our mistakes and figure out first?
If Mitch was the guy winning the chip that year.
Look, Caleb's looked good, but we're really, really, really going to know who Caleb is when he plays like some really quality defenses, right? And so can we play this year out and see how Caleb is?
The same thing, though, with Caleb is you got to build those trenches still. They're good. I think they're enough this year, especially not to ruin him,
for sure.
And stunt his development. I think it's good enough. But to win in this league, you have to protect the quarterback. And I think that's going to come this offseason. So
for sure.
Let's we got any more chat questions we could rattle off?
No, we'll do that. Okay, so this is the last one actually, but it's okay. I will answer this quick because I don't think it's going to happen. For radio on Twitter, I love your Abby, by the way. Shout out DJ Moore. But he said, what do you think about Khalil Herbert, Carolina second and a third for Trey Hendrickson? We kind of just want to rant about this. Let's not give up picks.
I'm not giving up Carolina's.
Yeah, no, that's too valuable because that's basically a late first. So, but appreciate it. Yeah, I know the moves are splashy and they'd be exciting, but I just don't think this team is just there yet. So next year, that's a different story.
Caleb's a rookie too. Caleb's a rookie. He's looked so good these last 2 weeks. He showed his rookie growing pains. I just don't think it's going to be linear this year. I don't think it's going to continue to ascend. I think there's still going to be this up and downs.
For sure.
And I'm not ready to mortgage anything. I really like the idea of just building through the draft and picking your spots, which I think if you're going to pick your spot, I think it's going to be next year's trade deadline.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still go all in free agency as well because of the cap that you have. So any others, or we can fire off a couple more of these Twitter questions.
Yeah, the last one here, and then we kind of talked about it. Any news on injuries is from Hee on Twitter. I mean, we haven't really.
No one's reporting. It's a bye week. The only thing I can say is the attitude from Brisker looks good.
Seems like
he looks fine. Even Kyler Gordon joking around on Twitter I mean, but who knows what that truly means? But I don't think it's anything serious. So I know the boys, Bates and Borum, hopefully are coming back soon. And yeah, hopefully just everyone stays healthy throughout the next week and a half. So, okay, let's get a couple here. Let's see here. All right. Are you worried about the Bears coming out of the bye week and losing to Washington? Absolutely. These are the Bears.
I mean, they can lose. Yeah, this team is not good enough. Yeah, where we're just feel so confident that they're going to win any game. Like, there's always I don't know about you, Dave, but every week there's still always that like nervousness and fear that we're just going to be the typical like Bears.
These 2 weeks have done nothing, but I mean, I liked it, but they've done nothing to change my perspective on how this team can disappoint us. So
we've seen enough Bear games in our history.
Give me the whole season here before I really feel confident.
Great question. That is funny.
If you had to pick a realistic trade piece to get, which one would you get? And this is from Steve on Twitter. So I guess we can go anyway. Like anywhere we wanted to, trenches, anything. Realistic. I like Henderson.
Yeah, there's not, this is one of the first years I haven't seen a lot of trade. Typically you see like, Bears are linked to, because last year was all about the defensive end and that actually happened, right? This year it's like, there's not as many holes. And as we know, the holes are on the offensive line and no one trades offensive linemen. They barely do. And if they do, they're not good. That's why they're getting traded. Like good ones aren't I think offensive line is one of the biggest scarcities for positions in the NFL. Like the disparity between really good linemen and bad linemen is huge compared to like wide receiver, right? Where you can find a bunch of them in the draft. So people, when they have a good one, they hold on to it. I just don't see anybody linked to us. We could be surprised, but I haven't heard anything. So I don't know if I can answer that, unfortunately, but great question.
Yeah, no, I think it's I don't know. If it's going to happen, it's just going to be a surprise to us all. And I don't think it's going to be a huge, huge trade, but I've been wrong. It'd be cool. Obviously, it would be electric. Last question here. Do you think the Bears should start using the primary logo the Bears had on the helmets and uniforms going forward? This is from Jimmy M7 on.
I mean,
yes.
As an alternate, I don't know if I'm fully accustomed like everyone, but the Bears have to start getting some alternate jerseys. Now, don't get me wrong. This team, and a lot of people agree, like every time you look at like, jersey rankings, whatever, like Bears are typically top 5. They have a really nice classic jersey. But we can start to sprinkle a couple in there. Yeah, you don't have to go crazy, but an all-white jersey, maybe an alternate helmet with the logo. And we're starting to see it. The thing is that with these teams every year, now that they can do alternate helmets because that's new, they're going to save some. They're not dropping everything at once. So they want to build hype. So we might see something next year.
I want to see how it looks, I guess, first on an alternate, like having that logo. And if it looks sick, I wouldn't mind. But I mean, the C is just iconic.
It's so good. It's not like our stuff's bad. So
yeah, no, I think the Bears have such clean jerseys.
All white though, that's what we need. I would love those.
DJ's been one that too.
Yeah, the polar bear unis, we need those.
Yeah. Well, hey, everyone, we appreciate it. Again, we couldn't get to every question, but we got to quite a bit. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We'll be back next week. We have an awesome guest to help preview a huge primetime game. Bears versus Washington, Jaden Daniels versus Caleb Williams. Again, road to 10K. We're still on that journey. If you can help out, hit that like button, subscribe if you enjoy the content. As always, we will be back next week. We're looking at a Friday return where we'll have the injury report fully released. And of course, we have a special awesome guest coming as well. So again, if you don't want to miss out, hit the subscribe button, Apple, Spotify, you guys, download, rate the pod. Of course, check out YouTube if you'd like. Ficky, anything else before we get out of here, man?
Let me go ahead and I put them on the screen, but let me give the shout out to the OGs. We have Alex with the hashtag OG Bear Down. Appreciate it, Alex. Then we got Rudy Pfaff the 5th with the hashtag OG on YouTube. And again, thank y'all for tuning in with us on a Thursday night. Before you leave, if you want to give us a like, we really do appreciate that. So push the video out to those who were able to join live. So thank y'all for hopping on. It was a good one. And thanks for all the questions. All of them. We couldn't get to them, but we'll make sure to get to them at some point. So we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. As always, we'll see you next week.
Peace.